If you're a runner and you've been thinking about creatine, but you thought, it's going to make me bloated, it's just for bodybuilders, it'll make me lose my hair, you're going to want to watch this video because I've got a few things to say that you need to hear. Because the reality is, creatine is the most researched supplement on the planet. It's the safest and the most effective. And it's one that most runners aren't taking for those exact reasons. And I'll be honest, I used to think the same thing when I was younger. I didn't want to lose my hair. I thought, I'm only 18. I don't want my kidneys to start breaking down. And when I first started running and when I was playing football when I was younger, I didn't take any creatine. But looking back, I probably should have. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what creatine does, especially for runners just like you. And I've got 3 different types that I'm going to show you, which allow you to take it in different ways. I'll show you the exact products I recommend, and I'll stick links to them in the description below. I'm also going to debunk some of those myths like makes you go bald, you might have heard it makes you put on weight, and I'm going to debunk some of those myths that might be stopping you taking it at the minute. So let's get into it. So what does creatine actually do, and why is it beneficial for runners? I'm going to keep it simple. I'll not go into detail like I'm speaking to a lab researcher, because most runners aren't that, and quite frankly, it's boring. Think about your muscles as a rechargeable battery or a power bank. Every time you take a stride or you push off for the next step, your muscles use something called ATP, and that is just your immediate energy source. But ATP runs out pretty quickly, like really quickly. And within about 10 seconds, it's completely gone. So that is the main energy source Usain Bolt's doing when he's boshing out his 100-meter sprint. So what creatine does, and this is the main bit, is it helps your body regenerate that ATP quicker. So instead of running out of energy and slowing down, you can maintain that pace for a bit longer. It's effectively plugging in your battery to recharge mid-stride. And for runners, that matters in a few different ways. First of all, it increases your repeat sprint ability. So if you're doing intervals, hill repeats, or any kind of speed work, creatine helps you maintain a higher intensity for longer. So those last few reps where you typically would struggle, it just gives you a bit of a nudge, a bit more energy, so you can put more effort into that and get more out of it. Secondly, and one a lot of runners miss or don't understand, is that it aids recovery. It reduces the amount of muscle cell damage that occurs when you're running. It reduces the inflammation, so you can bounce back between harder sessions a lot easier. And thirdly, and the most commonly understood one, is that it supports muscle growth and power output. And that doesn't just mean bigger quads and bigger calves. It means better running economy, because each step you're able to produce more force. More force into the ground equals better strides, better power output for the same effort. Winner, winner. Now, don't get me wrong, creatine isn't going to bosh off 30 seconds off your next 5k attempt. Not overnight anyway. That's not quite how it works. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Pardon the pun. It's about the cumulative effort over time, over weeks, over months, over each session building up, and it all compounds, and overall your performance will improve. It actually takes about 3 weeks before you even notice a difference. So we'll go into how often to take it and how much to take later on. But just taking it every day, over and over again, slowly compounds, and eventually you'll start noticing the difference in both your training and your races. Right, let's address some elephants in the room. And there are a few myths that need debunking, because for some reason, people seem to think there's some negative connotations when it comes to taking creatine. And that stops runners taking it, and a lot of just people in general, really. So I'd like to go through them one by one. Myth number 1, creatine makes you bloated and gain weight. Now, this one has a smidgen of truth to it, and that's probably why it does stick a bit. So creatine draws water into your muscles, which obviously means you're going to gain weight because your muscles have a little bit more water in them, and as we know, water is heavy. But that's actually how it works. But that water, as I said, is inside your muscles, not just chilling under your skin. You're not going to look puffy, and any weight gain is typically 1 to 2 kilograms at best. And like I said, it's water inside your muscles, which is a good thing. Just because the scales have gone up doesn't mean you've gained fat. It just means there's more of you, if you like. You've got more water in your body, your muscles are better hydrated. How is that a bad thing? And then the bloating thing comes from old school loading protocols, which is where people used to take loads of creatine, like 20 to 25 grams for the first 5 to 7 days to load their body and get everything into the muscles and into the system. and then it would level off and you just keep it topped up day by day. But that's not how it's done anymore. We don't do loading protocols. It's not found to be any more beneficial than just starting with one amount and taking that every single day. It's no better, so that's not a thing anymore. Which leads us nicely onto myth number 2. And that is that you don't need, or the myth is that you do need a loading phase, because you don't, as I just said. And that's important. This was originally done to saturate your muscles quicker. But if you just take 3 to 5 grams a day, every day, as if it's a multivitamin, you wake up, do it alongside something else you do every day, so brush your teeth or make your morning coffee, so you never forget. Every single day you take 3 to 5 grams of creatine, and you do that consistently over time, you'll reach the same saturation in 3 to 4 weeks without loading your body, putting it under extra stress, giving your body more things to process for no more benefit. And you won't get any bloating, no stomach issues, no dehydration. Just take it daily. Easy. That coffee machine over there, I have 2 of them every single morning. And when I'm making them, I take my creatine. Simples. Myth number 3, and that is that it's bad for your kidneys. And this has been studied almost more than anything else. And in healthy individuals with normal kidney function, creatine supplementation does have absolutely no negative effect on kidney function. And it certainly doesn't cause kidney damage. The confusion here, which is easy to understand, is that creatine breaks down into creatinine. And that is a marker that doctors use to assess kidney function. So they'll do blood tests and look at your creatinine levels. And if they're raised, then that could be a sign that you've got kidney damage or poor kidney function. So if you take a blood test and your creatinine levels are raised because you're taking creatine, without any context, the doctor's going to think that you've got poor kidney function. Whereas the reason it's raised is because you're supplementing creatine. It's not a bad thing, it's just something they use as a marker. So to summarise, it doesn't mean your kidneys are struggling, it means you're taking creatine. But the general population don't take creatine. So as a whole, it's a good sign for the doctors to look at. But in this situation, that would be the cause. So then we know, don't panic, it's raised because of creatine. Anyway, it doesn't cause kidney problems. But if you do have a pre-existing kidney issue, then obviously speak to your doctor before you start taking creatine. But for the vast majority of runners, not a problem. Number 4, creatine is only for strength athletes and bodybuilders. And this is probably the main one for runners. They think, I'm not taking creatine, that's what bodybuilders take to get bigger and fill the muscles with water and look massive. And I get it. If you look up creatine and you go on the company's ad marketing, it's probably got some big hench geezer flexing in the mirror. And that's because of marketing. It's not because of the effects of the supplements, it's because typically people take it because of the strength and performance benefits, and those people are typically doing it in the gym lifting weights. But the research on performance and endurance performance specifically is pretty solid. It's proven to increase time to exhaustion, it's proven to aid recovery, and it supports muscle function, especially during repeated high intensity efforts. So, like I said, if you're doing interval sessions, if you're doing hill sprints, if you're doing a tempo run or short sets, it's going to benefit you. And if it benefits those training sessions and that interval work and the tempo work, then that is going to overall affect your performance. And when it comes to race day or testing your PBs, then they're going to only benefit from those improved sessions. So if your training involves any kind of repeat intensity work or intervals or hill work or anything like that, then, and it should, then creatine is going to be beneficial. Now, that brings us nicely on to the types of creatine you can get and which ones I recommend. So we've got 3 different types. PureSport, this bad boy, Ovrload Gummies, and your typical old-fashioned tablets. Now, let's go through that one first. So we've got creatine tablets. Now, these ones are the bulk supplements, which I have been taking because I'm tight and they're the cheapest. And like I said, every day I take 3 grams a day with my daily multivitamin, cod liver oil and my coffee. Bosh. They're the easiest, they're most convenient, you can take them with you anywhere, and like I said, they're pretty cheap. And normally 1 tablet is 1 gram of creatine. So like I said, I take 3 because I take 3 grams, probably going to have to increase that, but that's the story for another time. The only problem is they're bloody massive, but easy, cheap, bosh. No other added ingredients or anything. Pretty simple, just a tablet or 3. or 5. And the advantage of this is there's no measure in it. You just take however many you take. No mixing, no mess, no shaker needed. Just whack them in, swallow your water, done. The downside, like I said, they're pretty hefty. Look at the girth on her. And you have to take 3 or 5, which is quite a lot. But if you don't mind taking tablets or used to taking supplements in the morning, then it's not that much of an issue. But convenience, if you travel a lot, if you work away, if you tend to go to the gym in the morning and you just get sorted for the day there, then they're pretty handy. And like I said, I'll add the link to these in the description below if tablets are for you. Next, option 2 are the PureSport creatine sachets, which are in powder form. So the recommended usage for these are 1 to 2 servings a day before or after exercise, mixed with 250ml drink of your choice. So you can add it in water, which doesn't taste of anything, obviously, or you can stick a bit of juice in, stick it in your smoothie, whatever floats your boat. Stick it in your coffee if you want. It says before or after exercise. I personally would ignore that and just take it, as I've said, whenever is convenient, whenever you're going to remember to do it. Because the key is consistency, not the timing. These specific ones are obviously pre-measured. They're 5 gram servings and you get 30 in a box. So pretty easy. It's all measured out. You just stick it in 250ml of water or whatever you want and neck it. Easy as that. And again, the advantage there is it's pure creatine. There's no other ingredients and nothing keeping it together like the tablets potentially. No added flavourings or anything like that. It's just pure goodness. And it's maybe not these ones because they're PureSport and they're individually packaged, but if you wanted a powder form, they're probably the cheapest because you can get a big bag of powder and yeah, normally sort of 30 to 90 days of servings in a bag, so it can be pretty affordable. And these ones are obviously easy to take away, and I can just see on the back now that they're also informed sport tested, so if you are a professional athlete, they pass the anti-doping rules and regs. The downside is, historically, they're not the best for mixing. So I'm sure we've all tried supplements that don't mix very well, so I'll not teach you to suck eggs, but yeah, they can be a bit gritty and not very nice. So if you're having it with water, you've got to kind of chug it and just accept that you're going to get a bit of powder in your gob, which isn't the nicest. So if you're not used to that, maybe don't go for the powder option, but very good. You can also get flavoured ones. James Smith has just brought out one with new tonic, which are about 3 times the price of the rest, but they're flavoured and apparently, I haven't tried it, but apparently it tastes pretty good. So maybe worth giving that a go. But there's loads of different ones. PureSport are obviously a running brand and their supplements are pretty high quality and pretty good, generally highly reviewed. So if you're going to go for a powder, go for this one. And again, I'll stick the link to that in the description below. Also, another downside is you obviously need either a shaker or you can just put it in a glass and mix it, I suppose. But it mixes slightly better in a shaker. So then you've got more pots than you need. Probably more than one shaker, but first world problems and all that. And now then, my new favourite is the highly talked about Ovrload Gummies. Now what's good about these, I'm not sure if you can see, they've also got electrolytes in them, which is fantastic for runners because it helps you stay hydrated. The only thing about Ovrload, I would say, is that they've got a bit of a bad reputation because they were getting pretty big on social media. And then, not to bring James Smith up again, but James Smith did some testing because I think he was going to buy the company and found that there wasn't as much creatine as they'd advertised in the supplements. Not ideal. However, since then, to be fair to the boys, they closed down the company, sorted everything out, sorted their supply chain out, and now on the back, you probably can't see it on there, but there's a QR code which you can scan and see their test certificates, which proves what's in the supplement, which is the creatine, vitamin D, and magnesium. Nice. So yeah, it's got a creatine and electrolytes in a gummy. And obviously the benefit of a gummy is that it tastes loads better. And if you're having them in the morning, it's like having a sweet. So this one's blue raspberry flavour. Let's give it a live go, shall we? It literally just tastes like a blue raspberry sweet. Oh, it's banging. That's the first time I've tried that flavour. Jeez! So these are my new favourites because obviously, for me personally, I take creatine in the morning, which is generally when you're a bit less hydrated. So to get some creatine and electrolytes in is double bubble. And especially for people that train in the morning, that's even more important because you're getting more hydrated and you're getting your creatine in. So again, winner, winner, chicken dinner. The trade-off normally is that it's got a few extra ingredients because it obviously has to taste nice and be turned into a gummy rather than just pure powder. So if you're bothered about that, then that might be a downside. But me personally, not really bothered because you eat loads of stuff in the day, so it's not the end of the world, personally. And typically they have a bit less creatine in them. So those are 1500 milligrams, so 1.5 grams per gummy. And they recommend you take 3 a day. So that's obviously 4.5 grams compared to this, which is 5 grams. And then depending on the tablets you take, if you take those, then that could be 5 grams too. So I don't personally think it makes a massive difference. But yeah, it's up to you really what you do. If you want to take 3 grams, that's perfect because you can take 2 gummies, and 3 gummies is a 30-day supply. So you're technically getting a bit extra. But when it comes to convenience and obviously taste and ease to take, these are personally the clear winner. So here's the bottom line. Whichever form you take, whether that's tablets, powder or gummies, the protocol is always the same. And I've said it loads of times already, so you might think I'm boring, but treat it like a multivitamin. Pair it up with another habit that you do every day, whether that's, like I said, brushing your teeth, you could walk the dog, you could make your coffee, you could make the bed, you could do your skincare routine. Just put it next to, let's go for skincare routine, put it next to your daily moisturiser. When you're putting your moisturiser on, take your creatine. Bosh. Don't forget, it's there every day. It's paired with another thing you do every day anyway, so it's no extra effort. You don't have to go and mix anything, prepare anything. It's there ready for you to do. Take it every day. You're probably not going to notice the difference straight away because, like I said, it takes a while for it to get into your body, get into your muscles. In about 3 to 4 weeks, you'll probably notice the difference in your training. I don't know anyone that's taken creatine and either hasn't had a noticeable change or feels worse. So in my opinion, obviously do your own research, check the doctor if you've got a bit more of a complicated scenario. In my humble opinion, why would you not take it? It's a winner. And if you're injured, it helps even more because when you're doing your rehab exercises, then they're getting the benefits of the creatine too. So rehab generally is even more effective when you're taking creatine. So there's literally no, apart from the cost, no downside. So hopefully that helped and you're going to start taking creatine tomorrow, if not today, if you don't already take it. I'll put the link to all 3 of them in the description of this video below so you can go and have a look for yourself. Like I said, I've taken all of them. The tablets were my favourite because I'm lazy and tight, but now I like the gummies because they taste better and it's like having sweets for breakfast, which you don't do as an adult, do you? So when I want a chicken dinner. So get some of these bad boys. And if you would like to learn more about running and how to stay injury proof and how to overcome injuries and just get more out of your training, then watch this video over here, which YouTube recommends. And if you want to learn even more, then I would appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching and I will see you in the next one.